Hey, what's up, Toilet Water Squad? I'm Big P, and I'm streaming out some poorly made bagels. They look pretty cool, though, and I'm pretty sure I know what went wrong. This isn't the first time that I've made bagels. It's probably the worst time that I've made bagels, but this is going to be part one in a bagel series where hopefully the next time I make them, they'll be good. And then after that, I'll try to make different types of bagels. So with these bagels, I started with Brian Lagerstrom's bagel recipe, and I modified it a little bit because I'm about a mile above sea level. So I increased the water and I decreased the yeast. The reason that I increased the amount of water in the recipe is because water boils at a lower temperature at higher altitudes. So at sea level, water boils around 212 degrees Fahrenheit, and then up here it boils around 202 degrees Fahrenheit. So since it boils at a lower temperature, that means that it evaporates quicker when you're heating it. So you want more water in there, or it will dry out quicker. So the reason for decreasing the yeast is because at higher altitudes there's lower air pressure. If there's too much yeast, then the bread will rise too fast and then collapse on itself. The first time I made this bagel recipe, I did it pretty much exactly the way that he does it in the video, except for I increased the water from 530 grams to 550 grams. I had read that you can try increasing the water by 5%. So a 5% increase from 530 would be 556.5, I think. So I didn't want to go all the way to 5%, so I just brought it back down to 550. And I left the yeast the same because I just wanted to change one thing at a time. And also because I had read that, sometimes you don't even have to change anything for high altitude. Sometimes it just works out. So when I made the recipe that way, it turned out great, but I wanted to increase the cold fermentation time from 24 hours to 48 hours to develop more flavor and to create more micro blisters on the crust because I like the way that that looks. And I like the way that it makes it crispy and crunchy and stuff. I don't know. I like the way that the micro blisters look. So with this modified fermentation time, I was afraid that I would now have too much yeast in the recipe because it seemed like there was the right amount of yeast in the recipe for the 24-hour fermentation. It seemed like maybe it would overproof if I left it in there for 48 hours, so I lowered the yeast a little bit. I had seen that for mile high baking, you can try decreasing the yeast by about 25%, which would be 2.25 grams because I was starting with 3 grams in the recipe. So for this attempt, I tried doing it with 2.75 grams of yeast. But one big problem was that in the recipe, I didn't realize they used instant yeast, and I had been using active dry yeast, and all of my attempts have been with active dry yeast. Anyway, those bagels came out a little flatter than they should have. So at first, I thought that I needed to increase the yeast again, but then I overthought it and thought that I should decrease the yeast. I thought that maybe they had too much yeast and had collapsed on themselves, and that's why they were flat. So for the attempt in this video, I way overcorrected and brought the yeast down to 1 gram. And for the liquid that I hydrated or proofed the yeast with, I used 80-degree liquid instead of my usual, like between 100 and 110, because the 80-degree liquid would allow the yeast to hydrate slower so that it wouldn't rise as quickly. These were bad moves. The bagels came out super flat and dense. On my next attempt, I'm planning to keep everything the same, keep the same amount of water, stick with the active dry yeast instead of the instant yeast, but I'm just gonna increase the active dry yeast back to 3 grams because that worked pretty well with the 24-hour ferment. So with the 48-hour fermentation, I'm hoping that it just works well for that too. Maybe it did, maybe it was, I don't really know. Maybe I had more time to ferment. Maybe it wasn't fully risen when I came out correctly on the 24-hour one. Maybe it could have risen more. So that's what I'm banking on for the next attempt. An additional change that I made for the first time on the attempt in this video is that instead of boiling the bagels in water and molasses, I use water and barley malt syrup, which is uh, the thing that you're, I think, supposed to use. I think molasses is more of a substitute because most people don't have the barley malt syrup, and it's a little more expensive and harder to find. But I really liked the results that that gave. even if they are kind of skewed by the fact that the bagels are not, good. Um, but yeah, I liked that. And I know that that change isn't what caused the bagels to come out flat, because when I took the bagels out of the refrigerator, they wouldn't float in the water. And then I let them sit out for an hour and they still wouldn't float in the water until they boiled for like 30 whole seconds. So that means that the dough was very underproofed. The dough was already messed up before the barley malt syrup got involved. What I just did at the end of this video is I mixed cream cheese with yuzu kosho, which is a fermented chili paste with yuzu in it. It's delicious, especially on a bagel with furikake, which is the green stuff that was on the bagels. I don't know how to say that word, but I got that idea from Internet Shaquille.